What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Powered by Primus. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 most anticipated battle cards coming in with Wave 4. Now, I did do a previous video the other day where I talked about the top 5 character cards that I was most excited about coming with Wave 4, so today I'm going to be doing the battle cards. Now, these are also going to cover cards that I think they're going to be more competitive, and cards that I think that are just going to be really fun and casual. So, with all that being said, let's get into today's video. The first card coming in on this list is going to be Pocket Processor. Now, this card is actually really awesome, and one thing that I'm very excited about. Now, we originally have seen this card before, everything down to the utility and even its ability saying at the start of your turn, draw a card. Now, that card was Databank, however you want to say it. The difference here is going to be the battle icon. Now, originally it was a white battle icon, which was a really nice card. However, trying to get the card was actually where it became difficult. It was a card that you could try to fish for and try to get via, treasure hunts at the time or whatever else you could try to be using, but it just really wasn't getting the job done. But when you did get it, it turned out to be a really powerful card because card advantage in this game is actually really good. However, Pocket Processor comes in with a green battle icon, which allows us to get it after combat if we do flip it. That makes it way better. Now, losing the white pip is kind of bad because you really want to be flipping maybe those extra cards on attack or defense, whatever your deck is really trying to go for. However, it's not nearly as relevant as if it would have originally been an orange or a blue when you're really trying to get that defense or that attack out. So Pocket Processor coming in here, even as a 1-of in your deck, I think is actually going to still be really nice. Now, just because you're running it as a 1-of, maybe even a 2-of, just makes it better than having to rely on it being a 3-of and having to try to get it through playing another card or maybe even hoping you top deck it. Being at that green, again, we're going to be able to get it, play it, and then we're going to really start to maximize by getting these cards drawn additionally at the start of the turn. The other benefit behind it being a green battle icon is if our opponent happens to remove it in any way, shape, or form, we're going to get it back. That was always my initial problem that I really hated with the original card, was that I would get it down after figuring out a way to get it, and then I'd have to wait until my next turn to really profit from it. Even drawing the one additional was nice, but sometimes my opponent would respond, get rid of it right off the bat, and then it was really kind of unfortunate. Again, Pocket Processor suffers from that same thing. You still have to wait for the start of your next turn to really profit from it and really kind of get it online. However, if your opponent does respond to it, again, it goes to the scrap pile. We have ways of shuffling our scrap pile, especially once the deck is out, and then you can get it back because of that green pip. You don't have to wait for it to go all the way around and then hopefully draw it again. And then again, it's even nice running it as a 1-of or a 2-of. You don't have to worry about having it as a 3-of because you need to get it. With those green pips, you can start to run those lower quantities of cards in the deck and still see them. Now, the next card coming in is going to be Daring Escape. Now, when I first saw this card, I was really excited because I cannot wait till I win a game playing this card, and I will bet $1 billion you guys will be seeing a video on the channel of me trying to pull this thing off, and indeed fact pulling it off. It's actually something I'm going to spend probably way too much time trying to figure out, but it's something that I'm really excited for because I just love the flavor of this card. I love the design of the card. I love the card in general. Now, first off, it is a blue and a green battle icon, which I think is actually very relevant. Blue being because we're going to be really trying to play the long game with this deck, so that blue is going to be really nice. And then the green battle icon allowing us to pick it up because we actually need to have all 3 of these in hand for us to really start to get this effect going. Now, it does say for each Autobot you have on the battlefield, put the top card of your deck in your KO area face up. If your deck and scrap pile are empty, you win the game. Now, these kind of effects are always really fun in card games. To be honest, I don't think this thing is going to be competitive, especially in a best of 3 situation, because trying to win 2 games in a row with this might be really hard. Who knows? But also, if you do have to go to game 3, then you're probably looking at a draw. But again, these effects are always so much fun in a game because it just brings fun to the game. You start to back up a little bit from the, I need to KO my opponent's characters this quick and I need to do this quick. This really lets you turtle up, and this lets you really play a defensive deck and just see if you can win in the long game. And like I said, it just really has a lot of that flavor with you trying to escape from either a really bad battle or Cybertron blowing up and you're trying to get out of there, and that's your win condition is going to be this card is just pretty fun. Again, the green battle icon is definitely where a lot of the power for this card comes into play, because unfortunately you don't want to have to play a Daring Escape and then you flip a Daring Escape and KO it. Now you have one less card to help you get on your process for it. So we're definitely going to be trying to get all three of these into our hands so we can really try to stack them and really know that we're not going to be hitting another Daring Escape, and try to just get as many cards as possible. Now, also looking at a team that I don't really know that we're going to have to be able to build around these guys, around this card, is that we're going to have to go wide, right? We need a lot of Autobots, so we're hopefully scrapping 5, 6 at a time. I don't know if there's a way to really hit 6 yet, but even a 5 wide I think would be more than acceptable. To be able to try to get these 5 wides to be able to scrap 5 at a time might be pretty nice. So if you play 3 of these, you're looking at scrapping 15 cards already from there. Maybe get the rest of the cards into your hand. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun, and this card is definitely something that I'm really excited about. Now, the next card coming in on the list is going to be Energy Transfer. This is an orange battle icon card and is going to be a very interesting card, to say the least. Now, the card does say move any number of damage counters from one of your characters to one of your other characters, but not enough to KO it. Now, let's say you've been focusing on your opponent's main character, whatever you've designated as your target. Let's say we've put down 8 damage on that character. Well, now our opponent can use this energy transfer to move those 8 damage counters over to another character that we really haven't been hitting. Let's say they have a Battle Master that we've been trying to avoid because we don't want to KO it. Well, they're just going to be able to move all that damage over to that character. Now, the one thing that is actually very relevant is the fact that it says, but not enough to KO it. One thing that we did see with Wave 1 Sludge was that Sludge have the ability to move over any damage counters from other Dinobots over to him, and that would include allowing you to over KO him. So essentially you can move over, let's say, 7 damage from a Snarl and 11 damage from a Grimlock, if you were ever in that situation, all over to Sludge, who only had 1 health left. So essentially Sludge is going to be taking all of that damage, but it's not really relevant because he's getting KO'd anyway. Now, one thing that we did see was Alita 1 coming in with Wave 3 that did have the same effect, not enough damage to be able to KO it, and it's probably just to make sure that we're not having those really weird scenarios where you're being able to overheal a combiner by a ridiculous number. It's just enough, but not enough to KO it. What this card is going to force is really making sure that you're designating damage at the correct time to the correct spot. Now, again, you don't have the ability to over KO something or even KO something, which is really nice, so your opponent can't just choose to move all of their damage off of their main character, KO a Battle Master, and then completely blow you out on their return attack, which is really nice. So I do appreciate that it does say that you can't KO it. However, it does just make sure that those characters are going to stick around for a little longer, and that could be a good thing even for yourself, making sure that, okay, well, your opponent's really beating up your main character, and before he even gets, KO'd before you get to turn him on, now you get to do the same thing, move a lot of the damage over to another character, and then you get to really make sure that your deck is doing what your deck is supposed to be doing. So this card's going to be really interesting. I don't know exactly where it's going to end up fitting. However, I think this thing is going to be very relevant. I think this card will be around in pretty much anything that's running orange, and I do think it is going to have to make you really change your attack sequences when it does come down to this card. The next card coming in is Dual Wield, and I think this card is going to be a monster. Now, first off, it is a double black pit battle icon, allowing us to get that Pierce 2. It is an action which is kind of relevant, kind of not relevant, but it does say when one of your characters gets an extra weapon slot until end of turn, and then if that character is a mercenary, you may play a weapon from your scrap pile onto it. Now, I do not see this card getting played in a not mercenary deck because I don't really know what the point of you getting an extra weapon slot until end of turn would really be. I guess if you're trying to set up, you already have an Energon Axe on a character and you're trying to get that last big hit in, then you can entirely go for another weapon just to stack them up. It might be really nice in like a Predaking list that you're really trying to push all those different weapons for, or maybe you're going to play it and then brainstorm into something else. I don't know. However, I do think that it is definitely going to be in mercenary list because being able to get a weapon from your scrap pile and put it onto it until end of turn is really, really nice. And as we know, there are lots of weapons in this game that do really, really good stuff, and even being able to get it back for a turn is still good enough. The one card I'm going to instantly look at with this thing is Grenade Launcher. Grenade Launcher has always been one of the best weapons in this game because you do get that +4 until end of turn. Until the end of combat, and then it goes away. Well, Dual Wield allows you to pick that thing back up from your scrap pile and put it right back into your weapon slot. You can play a weapon for the turn, and you can crash in for massive amounts of damage. The best way for me to describe what Dual Wield does for me is it really is an answer, right? It is a way for me to respond to what my opponent is doing. Now, in some situations, I'm going to be playing some of these weapons that go away if end of turn with this ability, but most situations, I'm going to be playing it on top of playing a weapon that I want to stick around. Now, my opponent could even get rid of that upgrade, which would normally in past sets really slow me down. Go, oh man, I just lost this weapon. Okay, now I need to replace it with something else. That's fine. I need to build my deck to be able to withstand me losing a weapon. For instance, let's say I was playing Energon Axe. The card is really good, I want it down, and then if my opponent just plays a Vaporize or a Ramming Speed, well now I'm just set back really far. Well, now with Dual Wield, I have the ability to go get it back and not slow me down at all. And then on top of the fact it's an action, which still allows me to play an additional weapon if I'd like to until end of turn. You also could choose to not play it until end of turn and even just play an armor as your upgrade for the turn, and then now we got our weapon back. This is definitely a card that I think you are going to be seeing a lot of in those mercenary decks. I can't imagine that you're going to be building a mercenary deck and not including this, as well as if you're going up against a mercenary deck, I would imagine that you'll be running into this card. Again, something that I think is going to be really powerful coming with this wave. Now, the next card coming in is going to be Hijack, which is probably one of the most anticipated cards coming in with Wave 4. Now, the reason behind it before we get into the card is the fact of what it does. Now, I was talking about it. This is what Wave 4 does, in my opinion, is introduces all of these answer cards. This is what introduces the way to respond to what your opponent is doing far more than just the, well, this is my turn, what I'm supposed to be doing, and your turn, what you're supposed to be doing. Let's see who wins in the end. These kind of cards that are coming in with Wave 4 allow you to interact with what your opponent is doing to benefit yourself. Now, there are lots of secret actions coming in with this wave that have lots of interactions with what your opponent could be doing, and that's why some of these cards are deemed silver bullets or kind of one-offs, because in some situations they're good, in some situations they're bad. So if you happen to have them in your main board and then your opponent isn't doing anything with that, then they're really just kind of dead cards. However, Hijack is just always good, and that's why this card is just going to be good. It is a black and a green battle icon. The black battle icon just gives us the pierce, not really super relevant. However, the green battle icon is where this thing is really good because we get to fish it at the end of battles, just like previous green battle icons I've talked about. Now, again, it is a secret action, so we do get to use our action for the turn, play this bad boy, and then it does say reveal if your opponent would draw a second card during their turn. Now, they have to draw one card at the start of their turn, so that is going to immediately be half of Hijack's abilities, is that we get to draw one there. So now if our opponent goes to draw any other card throughout their turn, then this will proc. It does say when revealed, if your opponent would draw a card this turn, you draw a card instead. So when your opponent goes to play a card to allow them to draw a second card, boom, we flip this over, and then we get to draw the card, not them. But we're going to take it up a notch. All secret actions remain face up until the end of your opponent's turn, meaning that if your opponent goes to draw any other cards even after their second one, then we still get to draw those cards. One card that's going to be really hurt by a hijack is something like Confidence. Our opponent goes to draw for the first card from their turn, they go to play Confidence, which would allow them to draw 2, scrap 2, play an additional action. Well, they're just going to not draw 2 and have to scrap 2, and we draw 2. Like, that by itself is really good. Now, our opponent does still get to play the additional action, but we get to draw 2 off of our opponent's card, which is really, really nice. Shockwave, unfortunately, is going to be able to take a pretty big hit from this as well. It is essentially going to more balance itself out because when Shockwave goes to draw a card, you have to scrap a card. Well, they wouldn't draw one, and then we would still have to scrap one, but we would draw one from their draw. So essentially, we just get to keep our hand kind of in the same spot, but we do still have to technically lose a card. One thing that is very, very nice about this card, and a lot of people are very happy for it because of this reason, is Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper really brings a lot of draw to card decks because every time you get to flip, you get to draw a card and then you play a Start Your Engines, you get to flip back and then you get to flip for your turn. You get a lot of draws from it. So Hijack specifically is going to be really nice against those lists. Really kind of get to talk about what I've been saying is that this card you can bring in multiples of if you end up going up against an opponent who is running a heavy draw deck. And it's even not a bad card to have in your main board because there are lots of draw effects that are around in the game right now to really help you try to thin out your deck as best as possible, try to get to those answers as best as possible. So a lot of people are running draw, which means that there is going to be a lot of hijacking. And the last card coming in on this list, because I did see that I did 6 character cards, so I thought it would only make sense, let me do 6 battle cards. Now it is going to be Hidden Fortification. This card is a blue battle icon. Absolutely love it. It is a secret action and does say reveal when one of your characters defends. That character gets tough 3 until end of turn. Now, I was the lucky person to be able to reveal this card for Siege 2, so I already did a video talking about how awesome this card is, but I wanted to make sure it was on this list because I do think it is going to be a very powerful card, and it is one card that I am very much looking forward to running. The big issue that I've always had with armor and with tough is that your opponent has a turn to respond to it. We went through a really long period there where armors just really weren't getting it done because of how much removal there was, and now this card allows us to still be able to get that tough even at a higher number. Normally it's tough 2. We're getting that higher tough 3, and it's something that our opponent cannot respond to. We get to play it face down as a secret action, great, and then our opponent goes to attack. Even if they get rid of our armor on our character, boom, we flip this bad boy over, we have tough 3. In the dream world, our opponent doesn't remove our armor, which is like, let's say, a reinforced plating, and then now we have tough 5, take no damage, and we get to move on with our next turn in a really, really comfortable spot. But I do think that this card is just going to see play in quite a bit of decks, even in decks that don't really need armor or don't really want armor. Even like, let's say, with a Shockwave. This card is going to be really good. It's a secret action. Shockwave can get it off the top of the deck if he wants. And then it also just gives him tough 3, which is really nice, especially if you look at where if he's in his alt mode and he has 3 armor, well, now we've got 3 armor, tough 3. We're probably not taking much damage, which is really nice. But even in stuff that has like General Prime in it and some of the other main characters that you just really want to be able to survive, that you're running kind of blues, even in a mixed list, this card is still going to see play because that tough 3 is actually pretty relevant. Alrighty, so there is my top 6 when it does come to battle cards coming in with Wave 4 that I'm most excited about. To be honest, I wish the list could be like 15 cards because there are so many cards that I am excited for coming in with Wave 4, which does release on November 8th. I think we're like, what, 8 days out, 9 days out from now for when the set does launch, and I am so excited. We have so much coming. I have so many things I'm going to be showing you guys, and I'm so freaking excited. It's not even funny. So I am really curious though, what cards are you guys most looking forward as far as battle cards coming in with Wave 4? Head down in the comment section below and let me know. I'd love to chat about them.